I'm Jenny Drasler. We continue our storm coverage 2015 tonight. We'll have the latest from city and Ameren officials, including just how much this damage will cost the city. We'll have the latest on power outages and cleanup efforts as well. I'm Jenny Drasler. We continue our storm coverage 2015 tonight. We'll have the latest from city and Ameren officials, including, oh my gosh, I cannot talk. I'm so sorry. Did you do this? Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm Jenny Drasler. We continue our storm coverage 2015 tonight. We'll have the latest from city and Ameren officials, including just how much all the damage will cost the city. Plus, a storm cleanup can be a headache. We're working for you, and we'll have the top 7 tips you need to know as residents work to get back to normal. That and much more when you watch KHQA News tonight. I'm so sorry.
This is an update from KHQA. It's your news now.
Check, check, check. Check, test, test, test. Microphone. All right, cool.
Hey Chad, are you gonna have Echo 1 IFB?
Yes. Yeah, I think you'll just have to let me know when they're getting ready to start.
Okay. Mic check, Chad.
Mic check 1, 2. Good afternoon. It's a KHQA special report.
Yeah, I know, right? That thing was so loud. I mean, I know ours is loud, but...
This is an update from KHQA. It's your news now.
And good afternoon. I'm Chad Douglas coming to you live with this KHQA special report. Once again today, the Adams County Emergency Agency and Quincy Mayor Kyle Moore are holding a joint press conference supposed to be held at noon to kind of give us an update on the power outages in Quincy and also storm debris cleanup. So we're waiting that press conference to start. Also happening right now at noon from noon to 1 at the Salvation Army Family Services Center, which is at 5th and Broadway there. There is a free lunch from noon to 1. They're also going to have a free dinner tonight from 5 to 6:30, so you can check that out. Good news for some folks in Quincy. Power has been restored overnight, even late this morning. This is a live look at the Ameren outage map, and if you've been with KHQA, if you've had your power for a while, you've noticed that the power was out for a big swath of west central Illinois, almost all the way to Jacksonville, including parts of Jacksonville. Power, according to this Ameren website, is now back on for every one of those individuals. Problems now being in Quincy. You see the red part there where the city of Quincy is kind of centrally located is said to be about 9,000 folks out of power. Then the yellow is a little bit less, and then farther east in the county with the airport in Burton, a lot of folks still out there. In total, about 9,800 people, and they're just refreshed, so an update for you. As we await this press conference, we also want to remind you that if you're watching us, obviously you have power and it's been restored. For those of you who have friends and family who don't have power yet restored, remember to check on them, especially elderly or those with any health concerns. Give them a phone call or maybe even stop by. We also push people to our website, KHQA.com, and Facebook and Twitter. We're getting news events out as quickly as we get them in here to the newsroom. Let's go live now to that press conference.
Going ahead and start our press conference this afternoon. We are going to start off with our Senior Vice President of Operations and Technical Services from Ameren, Ron, R-O-N, Pate, P-A-T-E.
Good afternoon. Just a quick update here. We continue to have about 1,400 resources working on the restoration here in the Quincy area. As I stated yesterday, that's where most of the damage is occurred and remains our restoration efforts. I just got word before we came here, we have dropped just below 10,000 now in restoration. We'll continue to have the crews to work 24/7 until we get everybody back on. A couple things we're finding more debris every time that we pull up to some place where we've got to clear it. And when we clear it, we're finding more damage. In fact, we've found about 40 additional poles that were broken here in the last few hours that, of course, will need to be repaired before we are able to restore service. So we ask for the patience, and anybody who's seen some of the damage realizes what our crews are facing. We were able to restore about 5,000 overnight. We brought some crews in so we could rest the guys that have been working for 36 and 48 hours. Been able to rest them, and then brought crews in and got a good restoration effort last night. We're hoping by the end of the day that we can, late at the end of the day, that we'll be able to say that we have most of our customers restored. Again, I always couch that with we have history shown us over the last 24 hours that we have found more debris and more damage, so that it does cause us some issues right there. I would remind customers that there's a lot of damages to their services where they need to get a hold of their own electricians. Once they do that, then of course we will staff again 24/7 once their service is fixed by the electrician to come back and make sure that they're restored with power then. I'd just like to finish on a safety note with wires down. I always have to remind folks many hundreds of wires remain down, and we need to make sure that people understand that those need to play those live and stay away from it. We understand and we appreciate the patience that folks are giving to us. We understand being out of power is a tremendous inconvenience. We work in the community, we live in the community, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that our neighbors in the community are getting power safely, as quickly, and as efficiently as they can. Thank you.
Our next speaker is going to be Mayor Kyle Moore of Quincy, K-Y-L-E-M-O-O-R-E.
Okay, thanks everybody for being here today. As of this morning, 30% of the roads in Quincy were impassable still. And our number one goal really this week is to make sure that every resident in the city of Quincy has access to emergency service if they need it. And that's our concentration until we get 100% of the roads that are passable. We're doing this with the help of not only city crews, Adams County, we're doing it with the Quincy Park District, also with help from the state of Illinois. Governor Rauner was in touch with me today. to offer any assistance. We want to thank him, also Senator Sullivan and State Representative Randy Freeze for reaching out. And this is going to take a large effort, not only by city crews, but by everybody here. And so I'm happy to say that the City of Macomb reached out to us and offered help, and they will be sending a crew down tomorrow, and we'll be reaching out to other agencies and cities to help us with this tremendous task ahead of us. Of course, with a storm like this, that is going to affect city services. First and foremost, Quincy Transit Lines. Quincy Transit Lines, our operations have been suspended until Friday. After Friday, this Saturday, we will resume holiday hours. And then beginning Monday, we will operate on snow emergency routes only. And we will operate on snow emergency routes from there on out until you hear otherwise. Garbage and recycling service has been suspended for the rest of the week, and residents are asked to continue with their normal collection day next week. So if your garbage and recycling service is collected on Wednesday, we'll come back and collect it next Wednesday. Really, the number one challenge we've had, besides the size and scope of this storm, has been to collect the debris and where to take it. And our crews have had, at some points, multiple hours to wait down at the Evans recycling site. And so to combat this, we've opened up a residential-only yard waste collection center at the Quincy Park District land on Front and Cedar. That site will be open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and will be manned. This is for Quincy residents only. It's not for contractors. It's not for city crews. Quincy residents, this will be your one and only site to drop off yard waste. So use that site at Front and Cedar from here on out, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. We want to open up the Evans recycling site for the large amount of debris that's being brought in by the city crews and that's being brought in by private contractors as well. We've been asked the question, what do I do with yard waste that's in my yard? One of two things. You can take it down to that collection site at Front and Cedar, again, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can also collect it and place it in the city right away. City crews will get to it. It may be a while. It's not going to be this week. And so you have to live with it, unfortunately, but we will get to it. So if you don't have a means of taking it down to the collection site, go ahead and place it in the right of way, and city crews will take care of it. A lot of people then are asking, can they start burning? No, do not open burn in your yard in the city of Quincy. We have an ordinance against that. We don't want to have any fire issues in the city of Quincy, so the open burning ban will be enforced. So if you see anything, let us know. And of course, with the collection of yard waste debris and the tree limbs and trunks, it can block fire hydrants. So we want to make sure that if there's a fire in your neighborhood, that there's access to those fire hydrants. So make sure while you're putting debris in the right of way that you're not blocking a fire hydrant. And Quincyans are very helpful, and so if you happen to see some yard waste blocking fire hydrants, if you are able to, go ahead and move them to the side so that way our fire crews have access to that. Many people have talked about the food collection sites that are in various neighborhoods being filled this morning. One, that's a good thing. That means people are not eating the food that was in the refrigerator and freezers. We want to continue to urge people not to eat the food if it's still in your house. Area and Allied are in charge of the rollaways, and they are dumping those once a day. So just be patient with us on that. Again, the sites are the John Wood Community College Student Athletic Center, the QU ball field, Hy-Vee on Harrison. It used to be at Q&D, but due to the low power lines, we moved that. Also behind the Quincy Mall and at the Quincy Park District headquarters. So you should have some available in your neighborhood there. Also, there are going to be a lot of people that want to hire contractors in the upcoming weeks and maybe in the upcoming months. And we want to make sure, we haven't had any reports of any wrongdoings by any means, but we want to be very vigilant in our efforts. And so we want to encourage people to make sure that your contractor has proper insurance. If you want to see if your contractor is IDOT certified, you can call our engineering department at 217-228 4527. That just verifies that they have proper insurance that the state requires. But if your contractor is not IDOT certified, make sure that you do not pay a contractor before they do the work. We don't want anybody to be taken a ride for with their money. So again, be very cautious. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. I want to once again thank the citizens of Quincy for how they've handled themselves. Many have been without power now for 2 days or more, and it's easy to get discouraged. It's easy to get upset, but luckily I've received no calls from people saying, hey, I'm upset about my power not being on. I think people are understanding, and they're helping their neighbors out. I also want to again say thank you to the state of Illinois. I want to say thank you to Adams County, the Quincy Park District, and all the agencies that have made this. This is not an easy job, but certainly it makes it a lot easier when people have been through this before. They know what to do. They know what areas they specialize in, and they go and they get the work done, and they do it without taking a break. And so, again, I just want to commend all the agencies, all the citizens involved in this tremendous effort. Thank you.
And lastly, we have our Adams County Emergency Management Director, John, John, Simon, Simon.
Thank you, Trina. A couple of things that I'd like to go over today and just remind people of is we still have a lot of debris on the street, as the mayor indicated. We still have 30% of the roads that are not passable. That's even passable with one lane. There's many, many more locations. It's a much higher percentage that it's only passable by one lane. So give the road crews, the Ameren, the debris removal crews plenty of space and exercise patience. Just in my own travels around town, it takes a long time to get through the traffic. So let these guys go first, give them the right of way if you would, and just have patience. Also, I can't underscore the need for safety. There's a lot of debris out there. There's a lot of people that are using chainsaws to clear that debris on their own property. We have sustained one chainsaw injury here in the city that was taken care of. But make sure you're operating in a safe manner. In order to clear the debris, we do have IDOT resources on the ground. We continue to work with the city jointly to make sure that we're able to provide Adams County resources as well as coordinate resources from the state of Illinois. As things continue to ramp up and we're able to get more resources in here over the next several days, we'll continue to do that. One thing I do want to point out with regards to pulling debris to the right-of-way, that's within the city limits of Quincy. If you live outside the city limits of Quincy, there is no curbside pickup. That is the landowner or the property owner's responsibility in order to clear that. Lastly, I want to make note that in an effort to try to assist the citizens throughout Quincy and Adams County, those citizens that may be homebound or may have medical needs that preclude them from going out and clearing their own debris, if you need assistance with that, there are a number of faith-based and other chainsaw organizations from all over the states and other states that are wanting to descend on Quincy here to help. And so in an effort for us to help coordinate that effort, landowners that, and again, that I can say have elderly or some sort of a health need that they can't clear that debris, they can call our hotline and we can try to match that up. That number is area code 217-214-7788. 217-214-7788 to get any assistance. With that, are there any questions?
Do you guys have a list of roads that aren't currently unpassable right now?
We don't have a list of ongoing roads that continue to be impassable. I would urge motorists to continue to exercise caution. They may not necessarily be barricaded. With continuing to focus our resources on clearing the debris, where they may or may not have been properly barricaded. So just by the sheer volume. So motorists should exercise caution.
John, yesterday you talked about we're just trying to get these roads passable. We're not trying to get the roads immaculate. But really, just for the Quincy residents, how long is it going to take until we see the Quincy of old?
Well, using a comparison of 2011, when we saw a similar windstorm come through, it took well over several weeks in order to get things clear. We're in this for the long haul. We know it's going to take a long time. We ask for the public's patience. We're moving a lot of resources in here to try to be more efficient and to keep the process going. But just by sheer volume, it's going to take a long time. Ed, you had a question?
The yard waste disposal site at Evans or on Radio Road. That's just for Quincy residents, is it not?
Yeah. So,
okay,
the yard waste site is just for Quincy residents.
Now, are contractors allowed to take stuff there, though?
Contractors are allowed to take it to the Evans site, but they will be charged. And so they will be charged for what they dispose of. If residents do not want to be charged, they can take the debris down themselves to the site at Front and Cedar.
What about county residents outside the city limits? Where can they go with their stuff if they can't take it to?
In most instances, we don't have a lot of issues out in the county because there is open burning allowed in county areas. A lot of people will be able to dispose of that themselves. Many municipalities, villages have burn sites, and so that's something that we can clarify a little bit better. I don't have necessarily a great answer for that, but something that we'll continue to look into and update the public.
Can I ask you, what's the status of the typical ordinary yard waste recycling program? Is that canceled for right now, or are those guys picking up yard waste in bags?
Well, I don't. They're not going to pick it up this week. As far as it next week, I'll have to ask Evans. That's something that really we've been more concentrated on getting that site open and making sure that they have enough manpower to meet the volume of debris that's going down to the site right now. So we'll release more information on that later. But that's a good question.
Mayor Moore, actually, you go down some of these roads, you're not just seeing trees uprooted, you're seeing portions of sidewalk ripped up, ground torn up. Whose responsibility does that fall on? When it snows, I got to clean my sidewalk.
Yeah, no, this is going to be a city issue for a long time, and it's going to be very costly to the citizens of Quincy. We do have insurance that could pick up part of this, but I think there's a big misunderstanding that somehow the federal government's going to come in here with a check and it's not really going to cost us anything. But for FEMA to come in, we need to have damage upwards of $17 million. And, I don't think we're going to get there. So this is going to take a lot of city resources, and this, once again, is why we have reserves. We have reserves in the city of Quincy for incidents like this. But first and foremost, we're going to go and make sure streets are passable. Then we're going to make sure that then that debris is picked up. And then we're going to have to take an assessment of what type of city infrastructure has been damaged and how we can repair it from there.
When it comes to picking up that debris, is there going to be a similar pattern to, like you said yesterday, trying to go east to west and north to south?
Yeah, right now, again, we're trying to just, our first goal is to make sure that every home in the city of Quincy has access to emergency responders if they need it. Right now, internally, we're working on the next steps of debris removal, looking at the resources that we're going to have, not only locally, but from state and other communities. And so once we can better get a lay of the land on the resources we're going to have, the amount of hours that we have at our disposal, then we're going to look at how we're going to clean up that debris, and we'll be having a city council meeting on Monday, and we'll talk a little bit more about that.
At last we heard about $2 million in city reserves. Is there ballpark estimation, now that we've kind of had a chance to assess the damage, how much this could end up costing the city, and is that reserve's going to come close? Is it going to scratch the surface of paying for it?
Well, that's what we're looking at internally today. A lot of the reports from the contractors that are helping us out have not been turned in. We are asking for rough estimates just to give us an idea, and we're doing that also for planning purposes. Again, we want to utilize as many public resources as we can, but we also understand that we don't want the city to be in a state of upheaval for many, many months. And so we're going to try to balance that out, balance out the beautification of our city versus really the dollars that we have to spend. So I don't have an answer for you right now, but I can tell you we're working internally to get a dollar amount, at least rough, and then that way we can have a conversation at the city level of what kind of resources we want to spend to speed this process up.
State aid, is that a possibility by chance?
No, not at this time. You know, from my understanding, a lot of times if there's state aid, it's mainly to get the state the resources they need to provide manpower and equipment. So, you know, there may not be money for municipalities. So once again, the city of Quincy is going to have to bear this on our own. We do have insurance for some city infrastructure, but that's not going to cover everything, and it's very strict guidelines. So we're going to have to be very careful in the next few months how we're spending our city dollars.
One more thing about cleanup.
Yes,
you mentioned there's no trash pickup this week. Are workers like that being called in to assist with other things going on with cleanup?
That's correct. So we're utilizing all of our city resources that we can right now for debris removal from the streets. I'm also very happy to say that we have you know, firemen are going in and helping out, utilizing it, and sometimes their own chainsaws if they don't have the equipment. So yes, that's happening. Last time we had about a month's worth of 12-hour shifts that were done by our crews. We're going to continue to do that. To give you an idea of what we're looking at right now, we're looking at city crews working 12-hour shifts until next Friday. They'll then most likely get the weekend off to rest and take care of home business, and then they'll be working another 14 days straight of 12-hour shifts, so as long as it takes.
Street lights are still out a couple parts of town too. Are they going to fix those soon? Is there any kind of timeline on that, or is that more of an?
That's more of a cleanup deal. You know, after Ameren gets power restored, I think, you know, as the gentleman from Ameren spoke before, they're encountering a lot of obstacles that I don't think people realize. A lot of poles down, a lot of damage, and so, you know, we know that Ameren is always taking care of the city of Quincy. They've always been responsive if we needed them, and so that's something that after they do the #1 job at hand, then we can go back to Ameren. I know they'll address our concerns.
I have a question for Mr. Pate. I just want to ask about street lights. Traffic lights are all through a wide part of town.
Yes.
What's it going to take to get those back in service? Those aren't just isolated issues. This seems to be a widespread issue where you're going to have to like flip a switch at some point. What's it going to take to get to that point where you just turn them all back on? What do you have to do?
I wish it was that easy, but it's really not. And what we have to do is actually get the I'll call it the grid, that section that actually feeds those stoplights and stuff. And we do prioritize those, so we're working to get those. But there could be a lot of work going on behind the scenes. And in fact, I would tell our customers that even though you don't see a truck, realize that we've got a lot of people working behind to do what work is necessary so that we can eventually, as you say, flip that switch. Although not that easy, we'll start feeding the power to those lights again.
So to get the grid restored, what do you have to do? What's the problem?
Well, yeah, it's a number of things. I mean, with the type of damage we had, it started with the substation. You know, all the way back there where we had substation damage, and then you have the feeders that come out of those substations, and then you have the laterals that feed the secondary that actually eventually feed the house. So you got stair step like that. We had damages throughout. So our main thing, even if we could go to a house and put a wire up, and the customer doesn't understand that sometimes, you think they have power. They don't, because there's nothing feeding that. So it's critical that we start with our substations, get those repaired, and then our backbone feeders, the laterals that feed those services, and then the services finally put up themselves. When that happens, again, that's when the street lights and the stoplights will come back on.
There are some stoplights that are completely down, completely missing. What's the process like to get those new ones in and get those up and running?
Those aren't our responsibility. We'll certainly make sure the power is up to there, but again, that falls, I think, probably some of it, and maybe the mayor could answer that. The city may own those, but the state could own those as well. So it's really not our, we'll make sure the power is there, but then the actual replacement of the stoplight will have to be done by someone else.
Chances power goes out while repairs are ongoing. Some people, their powers come back on. Is there chances that will go back out for some people as repairs continue?
It could. That's a great question, because we'll get on and then realize that we have damage elsewhere, where for the safety of our workers, we may need to take a section out again so that they can get in there and work safely with that. We're finding a lot of damage back in yards and stuff. Power lines running through the backyards, so we can't get our big equipment back there. We have to use easement equipment, specialty equipment like that, climb if we have to do the manual source. So sometimes it is critical to take those out for the safety of our worker, and then they'll come back on as we restore or make every repair of the rest.
A specific area that are being restored maybe more quickly than others, or is it kind of just gradual throughout the whole time?
Yeah, we've divided, the city into quadrants there, and we've got crews working in each of those quadrants. So no, they're all coming on, not at the same time because, that's not the way it works. But as we restore, we're able to bring those up. So when we use estimated restoration times, we might set a time out there, but realize that throughout the day we are picking customers up as we go along there. So we've evenly divided that. We do have, as I stated yesterday, and I think it's been stated here by the mayor and John, the southeast section of town is really the hardest hit. Unfortunately, that's where a lot of the power lines running through the backyards, the old established homes, and it's just very difficult to get there. It's also we're having trouble getting there because of the debris. Again, we brought in, we have about 60 forestry crews alone working just to clear, and sometimes simply to not to clear the lines so we can put them back up, to clear a path back to the lines even to get there.
With potential weather on the way as far as rain tonight, how do you see that possibly impacting the continued process?
Well, to the credit of our co-workers, it won't. We'll work 24/7. The rain won't bother us. Of course, when we have lightning or something like that, we pull back a little bit for the safety again of our co-workers. But they're used to that. We've got equipment that runs in the rain. We suit up our guys to work, and we'll continue to work 24/7 until we get our neighbors here restored.
Any cases where one person in a neighborhood may not have power, all their neighbors do, is there cases where the responsibility for repairs could fall on the customer itself? Does that happen?
Yes, and you'll have quite a bit of that from the damage we've seen. What you're alluding there to is that, for instance, a tree limb comes down through the service. It's pulling what we call the weatherhead, the connection to the house, down. That's not Ameren's responsibility. That would be the customer's responsibility. We have, if you go out on our website, there's a great diagram of what that is. If you're questioning where that may be or what that case may be, they have to get that fixed by electrician and then call us. We will staff 24/7 to handle those calls over, because once that's up, it doesn't take much to come back and connect those services. We do also have customer service reps operating down at City Hall. So please take advantage of that and utilize those folks. If you want to stop by there, they can give you more information on personal accounts like that.
We've got John Simon has another.
David, your question actually made me think of a couple other things that I didn't address earlier about additional weather coming in over the next couple of days. There's still a lot of there's a lot of debris. There's a lot of branches that are loose. They're hanging in trees, what we call widowmakers, and we get even a little bit of wind and a little bit more of a storm come through. We can see a lot more debris come down. It may not be new debris, but it may be debris that's already hung up. And so one of the other points that I wanted to make sure that I hit was that Quincy Park District, they've made this known. All parks are closed till further notice. Nobody should be in the parks. There's just a lot of hanging debris. Since the Park District is assisting the city in trying to get critical transportation infrastructure open, the parks are going to be on hold until city streets are open. So be cautious of that as we look at weather over the next couple of days, and at this point, stay out of the parks.
Is that every park in the city?
Every park in the city is closed.
John, have there been any problems with emergency services providing service to customers, either ambulance or fire?
That's a good question, Ed. All emergency services are operational. Quincy Police, Quincy Fire Department, they originally ramped up their patrols and their efforts. Those are at a normal posture now. Adams County Ambulance, they increased their personnel. The ambulance service has been responding yesterday to numerous calls, largely to people that had heat-related illness, working outside, but also some instances where people are on home oxygen and without power. And so the ambulance service has been trying to address those as they're able. But we've been able to address all those issues. There's no, they're not overwhelmed at this point. 911 is operating at 100% at this point. So while emergency services was impacted early on, they've been able to get back to more of a normal routine. Any other questions? Okay, we will have another press conference tomorrow just to give everybody an update. Same place, same channel.
All right, just recapping there that the press conference from noon lasted almost a half an hour there, the latest. You can find more at KHQA.com and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We do want to mention that tonight at 5, 6, and 10, we're going to have a couple stories. One, another option for you throwing out your meat instead of throwing it away, another option for you. And 7 things you need to know to get your life back on track after these outages and storm damage. We're going to leave you now and join a network special report where President Barack Obama is speaking live now from the East Room.